Hi everyone and welcome to a new video. My name is Sharon, this is Rare Roots of Joy, a channel for plant parents. Now today we're going to get straight into it. It's an exquisite day here in late autumn, early winter, although technically it is still autumn. As I film this, it's the 26th of May 2024. We've still got another few days of autumn left. But this is a seasonal topic because we're going to talk a little bit about dormancy and how you can tell whether your plant is indeed dying or whether it is dormant. And I've got some perfect examples here to show you. So if that's something you're interested in, stick around. So I am going to cover a little bit of what dormancy is, but honestly, to do a deep dive into dormancy, that probably would be a separate video. Now, if you're interested in what dormancy is from a deep dive point of view, drop a note in the comments. But this video is going to just sort of give you the very bare basics because we want to get into telling or being able to tell if our plant is dying or is dormant. So what is dormancy? Well, dormancy is a period of time and it signifies a resting period for the plant. So what does that look like? Well, we see it outside a bit more predominantly than we can see it inside with houseplants. But signs of dormancy will include dropping of leaves, yellowing and wilting of leaves. The plant appears to slow down or not grow at all. So it might not appear to be doing anything. It could also lose its colour, look a bit stressed, and even some plants can essentially look dead when they're actually dormant. And dormancy is triggered by predominantly two things: a change in light and a change in temperature. So for those of us who have pronounced seasons, quite stark differences between summer and winter. I live in temperate climate Melbourne, where our winter overnight minimums can get down to as low as maybe 0 or even -1, 1 or 2 times a year. It'd be 3 or 4 times on a bad year. And our highs typically can go from anywhere 18 degrees to about 12 degrees, somewhere within that threshold. Where our summer maximums can get into the 40s. And our overnight lows sometimes can be 26, 25. That's probably more of the extreme end. They're typically around 16 to 20. But the point is that there is a stark difference in temperature between summer and winter. Now, winter, our days get shorter. And that change in light level is the second thing that tells the plant, hey, you know, the seasons are changing, it's getting colder, I better work on extravascular tissue and start to look a bit inwards and prepare for the winter to come. When we get to the other side of winter, the daylight gets longer, the temperature increases, and that signals to the plant going, hey, winter's over. It's time to throw out some new growth for the growth period. In a lot of plants, there's actually a second dormancy period, and that's right at the height of summer. But again, I'm not really going to cover that. That would be a dormancy deep dive. And again, if you're interested in that video, hit me up in the comments. So one more trigger I want to cover today in terms of dormancy. Plants can go into dormancy when they suffer environmental stress. Now, our house plants, which don't experience those severe drop in temperatures because they're inside, but they will see the change in light levels, unless of course you're using grow lights, but they don't typically get the big shift in temperature. But what does happen inside, typically in most places, is a drop in humidity. And that's because we turn our heaters on. Our heaters dry the air out quite significantly, and it's not uncommon to see humidity levels of what was, say, 40 or 50, 60%, maybe higher, to drop down to 30 or 20%. And that also can trigger a plant to go into dormancy. So those humidity levels will stress the plant out, probably won't kill it, but it will stress them out. So just be aware that that can also initiate a period of dormancy. Oh, I love this sunshine. So good. I'm in mid-May. I'm out in a t-shirt. Who knew? Yay! Sorry, not sorry. All right, Sharon, get on with it. So I've brought to the table 2 English oak plants. Well, there's more than 2 English oak plants here. 2 pots with English oaks in them, grown from acorns. And you can see here that their leaves are brown, that they don't look 100% healthy, even there's some damage from probably some sort of pest. And for all intents and purposes, these plants look a bit dead. It looks like they haven't really survived the summer or the autumn. But are we really sure? Well, we can just sit and wait it out. We can continue watering them and making sure their soil remains moist. These plants particularly are oak tree babies, so they'll want to remain a little bit more moist. They won't be happy if the soil dries out. But are they dead? Similarly, I have this Japanese maple tree here. Now, the Japanese maple is the Acer buergerianum. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the Latin name for this. It's the Trident Maple. I'm just going to say that. Acer Trident Maple. It's a stick. It's a stick. So is this plant dead or dormant? So how do I tell if these plants are dying or if they're dormant? Well, the first thing you can do is try one of 2 tests, or even both tests. The first is the scratch test. The second is the snap test. So let's take us through those. So for these, I'm going to bring the camera right in so you can see how we perform these tests. All right, so we're going to try the scratch test and the snap test. And of these 2, the scratch test is the easiest. So you can do this with your nail or any type of sharp knife. I'm going to use a scalpel. I try to use, if I'm going to cut into plant for any reason whatsoever, I like to use something very, very sharp. And as usual, I am sterilizing my tools using isopropyl alcohol 70%. So really, I'm going to start with this guy here because I actually suspect that this guy here, if you can see that, I actually suspect this one is dead. But I'm going to try up just in the trunk here to actually remove or to scrape down to see what kind of tissue sits underneath. And what you're looking for is white or green wet tissue that is flexible. Now, if I scrape just a little bit more, I think what I see is brown and it's dry. There is no sign of green in here. I'm still not all the way through the outer. There we go. There we go. Take a good piece out there. And yeah, this is very, very dry. It kind of looks white, but it's not wet. There's no sign of life there. So that's the scratch test. The snap test is very similar. What you're looking for is an easy snap off like that. That snaps off like that, it's dead. If it's alive, it will be very bendy and be difficult to snap. You won't get a snap like that. So at least at this point, that tree is dead. Now, we don't want to assume that the whole tree is dead because it could be still alive further down. So we want to repeat this test. We want to repeat that test down here, and it's definitely dead. There is nothing left in that. Well, in fact, it's definitely dead now. No roots. So we know that that is definitely dead. And I'm going to repeat the same on this one. I'm going to take a section of the tree that's right up here. And again, that looks pretty dead to me. There's no green here. Take a little bit further down. Oh, that's different. That's different. I'm going to try and bring the camera in here for a close-up. So that, to me, looks like pretty dead tissue here. But further down... All right, now what about our next oaks? So these leaves look pretty dead. They just haven't fallen. There's multiple trees in here, but let's have a look here. And that looks pretty dead. Yeah. We try the scratch test and then we try the snap test, and we know that that bit is dead. Now, which probably means that this whole branch is dead. So we're just going to snap that off. Yes, it's dead. That nice big crunch sound, also good to tell. This has also, I don't know what they're called, but little nubbins signify when new growth might happen. So what I might do is check up here. Well, see, that looks pretty indeterminate, but no, it's dead. That looks dead. I'm going to come down and look quite further down where I suspect there will be greenery. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, guys. Yeah, that looks pretty dead to me there. Yep. That snaps off pretty easily, doesn't it? Leave that there for now. What about this one? Oh, that snapped very well. That snapped very quickly. And there's no greenery. There's no greenery on the inside of that. Go down a little further. That's very dry. It's not wet. It is my assessment that these are dead. So see, even plants that can look identical for all intents and purposes, one could be dead, the other one could be dormant. You have to get down and check them to be really sure. But we'll label that one as dead. And the last one we're going to check, it's a Trident Maple. Now, I happen to know that this one is actually dormant and is perfectly fine, but let's go through the exercise. Oh, see, that's quite bendy. Very, very bendy. So I'm going to take a little bit off. I'm going to do a scratch. I'm going to do it here. Yeah. I don't think I need to go any further than that because that's green. It's green and it's wet to touch. This tree is dormant. Very simple. So the other thing that you can do if you're not 100% sure after doing the scratch test and the snap test is you can check the roots of the plant. If the roots are black and mushy and when you tug on them they just fall apart really easily or pull away from the plant, you got dead roots. If they're a white or a yellow in colour, they're firm when you touch them, they're kind of supple, then your plant is actually alive. And while there's maybe nothing happening above soil, there's still a lot happening below soil. So hang on to a plant that if it's like that. So hopefully that's given you a couple of pointers on how to tell if your plant is on its last deathbed or whether it's going to spring back to life in the spring. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video. I hoped you got something out of that. If you did, don't forget to give us a like and maybe check out some other videos. And if you're also a plant parent or looking to become one, maybe subscribe to the channel if you feel like it. I'd love to see you here as part of the community. But until next time, bye for now.